David is back at it here to give everyone another Game of Thrones Season 8 episode review video. Before I get into that, though, pretty important if you're not caught up to the point where I am in rewatching or watching Game of Thrones, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention as well as put in the description for you. If that happens to be the case and you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this video any further, simply to avoid any potential spoilers. So this will be Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 4. Title of this episode is called The Last of the Starks. This will be my review, reaction, recap after just finishing watching the episode. It's been a couple hours, though. So we start off with Jon. He's leading a mass funeral cremation for the people that we lost in the previous episode, such as Ed, Beric Dondarrion, Theon Greyjoy, and Jorah Mormont. Really sad stuff with Daenerys over Jorah crying. Fun fact, when I first started watching Game of Thrones, which I got through the first season and the first 4 episodes of Season 2, my first favorite character watching this show was Jorah. I just like Jorah. Not really sure why, but I just found him as my favorite character. Maybe because I knew him from the Resident Evil movies. Not that he was that good in those movies, and those movies were kind of shit, at least the ones he was in. But nonetheless, and then it was a very, very sad moment with Sansa over Theon. She actually places the pin for the hand on him, on his vest, and it's just very, very sad. And we do see Ghost in this scene. Ghost is mourning too, even though he's got his ear, most of his ear missing. I don't know, 75% of it's gone, maybe, but Ghost is still alive. So after all the sad stuff, then they have a celebration, a feast, and during this, Daenerys actually legitimizes Gendry as a Baratheon, and she decides to make him Lord of Storm's End because that is what she says. Since he's, of course, Robert Baratheon's bastard son, and he's the Storm's End, of course, is the ancestral home of House Baratheon. So that is that, and there's another scene where Davos says, Gendry Baratheon, and everybody toasts to Gendry, and then Daenerys says, and the hero of Winterfell, or whatever she said specifically, Arya Stark, and everybody cheers real loud, but Arya's nowhere to be seen. So Gendry goes off, and he finds Arya, shooting her arrows, target practice. I guess that's all Arya wants to do. And Gendry, because he's on such a high right now after being legitimized as a Baratheon, he proposes to Arya. Of course, she declines. She says she's not a lady, but he's going to find himself somebody that really likes him. And it's sad. I kind of wanted them to end up like as an actual couple, not just fuck buddies and friends with benefits sort of thing. But it was interesting. There's a scene where Tormund is talking to Jon Snow about how awesome he is. Like, the guy even, he friended an enemy and died for it and then came back and rode a dragon and all this other crap. And you see that Daenerys is looking at this like, fuck, everybody likes this guy and nobody really likes me. The only reason why Daenerys did the thing with Gendry is because she thought that would earn her some points with the people. And now Jon Snow's got all these wildlings and all these other, folks behind him, and she's got barely anybody, really. So that's kind of sad, but we have, I should say, Brienne, Podrick, Tyrion, and Jaime playing a drinking game. And Brienne leaves the drinking game in a little discomfort when Tyrion actually guesses that she is a virgin, or suspects that she's a virgin. So she eventually says she has to go piss and gets up. Like, she doesn't want any more part of this game because people are getting too drunk and she's going to start talking. And when she gets up, Tormund starts to follow her. And then all of a sudden, Jaime stands up out of his chair and, blocks Tormund and says something to him. I can't remember what it was. And then follows Brienne. And jumping ahead a little bit, they go back to Brienne's room. And Jaime and Brienne, something that we've wanted, or most people have wanted since, Season 3 and some of Season 2. They end up having sex. Like, it's funny because Jaime's like, I've never slept with a knight before. And Brienne says, I've never slept with anybody before. And then they get it on. So that a lot of people like that stuff. I I don't know if I really like it, but obviously I've come to like Brienne a lot more than I used to, so it's good. And then just remembering how uncomfortable Daenerys was with the acclaim that the Tormund was giving Jon in private, begs Jon to never reveal his true parentage. And Jon reassures Daenerys that he has renounced his claim for the heir to the Iron Throne, and insists, though, that he must tell Arya and Sansa the truth. So Daenerys plans to immediately storm King's Landing, but Sansa argues the soldiers need rest. Ultimately, they agree Jon will lead the army on foot, while Daenerys will and her fleet will sail to Dragonstone. And then afterwards, Arya and Sansa tell Jon that they distrust Daenerys, but Jon defends her. And then after swearing Sansa and Arya to secrecy, Jon has Bran tell Arya and Sansa of his true parentage. And we have Bronn. He arrives to kill Jaime and Tyrion because Bronn's services are available to the highest bidder, but accepts Tyrion's offer of Highgarden in exchange for their wives. So we don't get much of Bronn this season, but that's one of the scenes that he's in. He's only in like 3 scenes this season, I think. The scene with Qyburn in season 1, the scene with Jaime and Tyrion the scene with Qyburn in episode 1 of season 8, the scene with Jaime and Tyrion that I'm just talking about now, and then the scene in the finale. I think he's only in 3 scenes in season 8. Sucks for him. He's moving down my list. Even though I really like Bronn as a character, he's not really featured as much in the end, and I've liked other people more. I don't know. Well, we'll get to that list in a week or two here. So we have Arya and the Hound. They're riding for King's Landing. Sansa reveals Jon's parentage to Tyrion, who then tells Varys, and Jon is he's got to go to King's Landing, and he gives Ghost to Tormund, who plans to return north of the Wall with all the wildlings. And Tormund suggests that Jon join them. And then Jon also bids farewell to Samwell and a pregnant Gilly. Jon doesn't pet Ghost at all, which is a big thing for this episode. He just kind of looks at him strange, and Ghost is like, "What's going on?" It's like Jon doesn't want anything to do with them. Obviously, that does get rectified, but very confusing stuff. Like, they're setting it up for Jon Snow to die very shortly here. Of course, we all know what happens, but people wanted Jon to pet, have a proper goodbye with his direwolf. And then after learning of Cersei's capture, so this is, I'm jumping ahead here. So Euron's Iron Fleet actually ambushes Daenerys' fleet, and eventually they kill Rhaegal. And then Missandei is captured, and Daenerys is convinced to talk to Cersei first instead of attacking King's Landing. After learning of Cersei's capture of Missandei, Sansa suggesting Daenerys will execute Cersei for this. Jaime decides to leave for King's Landing during the night in hopes of saving Cersei, despite Brienne's tearful plea that he stay with her. And honestly, as a Jaime Lannister fan, I do like his relationship with Cersei. The Brienne stuff was nice, but the Cersei stuff is what he truly desires. But a lot of people are upset that Jaime leaves Brienne. So Daenerys is gonna talk to Cersei first, and Varys fears for Daenerys' mental stability. She's lost Jorah, she's lost Rhaegal now, and she's a little unstable. And goddamn, I miss Daario Naharis right now. We haven't seen him since season 6, episode 10, and he would have been perfect for about right now. Varys tells Tyrion he believes Jon would make a better ruler, but Tyrion, he stands by Daenerys. And then we get to King's Landing. Euron reports his successes to Cersei, who claims to be pregnant with his child, although it's Jaime's. She orders the gates of the Red Keep remain open, making her subjects human shields. If Daenerys wants to come in and cause chaos, she's going to have to kill a bunch of innocent people to deter out the all-out assault on the city. And so Daenerys and her army arrive at the walls of King's Landing. Cersei and Daenerys demand each other's surrender, with Cersei threatening to kill Missandei. Tyrion attempts to appeal to Cersei's humanity to get her to surrender. Of course, Cersei refuses and eventually looks at Missandei and says, if you have any last words. So Missandei has some time go by, like 10 seconds, and she's like, Jacaerys! And then Cersei kind of looks at the mountain, and the mountain beheads Missandei. Horrifying and enraging Grey Worm and Daenerys. And that's how this episode ends. So while there's things about this episode I really like, there's a couple things that I really hate. Why didn't Jon have a proper goodbye with Ghost? That really annoys me personally. Why did they have Arya not end up permanently with Gendry? That annoys me. And why the hell would you kill off Missandei? When I did my death predictions for Game of Thrones Season 8, I didn't think Missandei was going to be in a position where she would die. And it sucks because she had chains on her when she died. And it's just unfortunate. So those are things that really irked me about this episode. While there's a lot of moments and a lot of touching things that happened in this episode, those things stand out more to me. As a fan of Game of Thrones. And I don't hate the episode. I just am annoyed with that. And Bronn, offering his services to the highest bidder, that kind of annoys me. I mean, how big of a relationship has Bronn had with Jaime and Tyrion to just kind of throw it all away? Of course, he makes a better deal with them, but why would he have to do that in the first place? So as far as the score of the episode, I'm going to give the episode a 6.2 out of 10. Thought about giving it as high as an 8, but these things that annoyed me just annoyed me too much. It was good to see Jaime and Brienne finally get it on, but ultimately I want Jaime with Cersei. That's what I wanted when I first watched the show. And as far as a character of the episode, I'm going to give this one to Jaime because it was a good episode for him. It's sad for Tormund, but he at least got to cry about it to the Hound, and the Hound, of course, just piss off, fuck off. The Hound was cranky and is as good as ever in this episode, but I'm going to give Jaime the character of the episode. So I've rambled long enough. You've heard what I have to say. Now it's your turn. It's time for you to comment. So first, if you're a fan of Game of Thrones, make sure you smash that like button, or otherwise known as the thumbs up button. If you like this video enough or you want to share it across all your social media platforms, please do so. It would definitely help me out, even if one more person watches the video. Don't forget to sound off in the comments section about your thoughts. What would be the score that you would give this episode, and who would you say is the character of the episode? And of course, what was your favorite moment? I tell you one thing, I did not like Missandei getting beheaded because I honestly didn't think there was going to be any situation where Missandei would be killed off in Game of Thrones. But I thought wrong. I thought Grey Worm would die, and yeah. And of course, last but certainly not least, I am definitely trying to grow the channel. It's not the easiest thing to do, but I need your help. So if you're watching these videos, if you wouldn't mind hitting that sub button, subscribe to the channel, join the team, share your damn support, and be a part of something special, and JDev will return.